Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to today's class. It is Wednesday, 2 p.m. And today we're talking all about how to release the weight, how to let it go, and have it just kind of melt off of you spontaneously instead of having to use brute force and strategies and weight loss programs and specific diets that cause you to have to exercise brute force in order to gain control over your own will. This is a much simpler. I'm not going to say that it's easy because it's not. You have to literally go in and do your own inner work, and sometimes that's a difficult thing to do for people, but it is a lot more simple. It makes more sense. It's logical, and the results that come of it are going to be permanent, lasting results instead of like a temporary, superficial fix that you get from some of these other strategies that are out there. So if you guys are new to some of my videos, my name is Janet. I know that we've added quite a few more new people to the group. I'm a quantum healing practitioner, and I'm also a health coach, and I help people get to the core, like to the nitty-gritty of what they have caused and what they have created in their body on a spiritual, mental, and emotional level. And so some of you guys are dealing with autoimmune illnesses. Some of you are dealing with excess weight gain. You're having a hard time letting that go. And some of you are dealing with chronic pain, and who knows what the story is for you. Doesn't really matter. The solutions are pretty much all the same. So today we're focusing specifically on releasing weight. And I want you to think about, I don't want you to think about it as weight loss, because I don't want you to think in the negative terms of losing something, because immediately your mind's going to go back into trying to find it again, right? So I want us to talk about this in terms of what are you here to release and let go of and transform in your life. And this really is, it's more about a transformation on an identity level than it is about using brute force on a strategy level. Have you guys ever noticed that when you try to do things like, a new exercise program or a new diet that you've found, and here's step 1, you have to do this. Here's step 2, everybody has to do this. Here's step 3, and you all have to do this. Well, you're going to notice that when you engage in programs like that and processes that take you into a strategy level, that's a really low level of transformation. It happens way down in the body on lower levels of vitality and energy and vibration. And so when you're in that low vibration of struggle and force in order to get something to change, it will produce more struggle. Hey, you guys, thanks for jumping on here. Thanks for saying hi. And I'm glad that you're excited about this topic. I'm glad that you're all finally here. I know that there's going to be more people that join, so I'm just going to allow for that to happen while we jump into the nitty-gritty of this topic today. So I want to focus primarily on I'm going to do a little bit of a review. Then we're going to talk about how to find and locate what these beliefs are that you are holding on to that have caused you to hold on to weight, to extra weight in your body. A lot of people come to me and they'll say things like, I can go to the gym for 3 or 4 hours a day and I'm still not going to make any difference because my body's not going to release the weight. It's still holding on to something. And so I would say to them, what are you holding on to that you're refusing to let go of? I'm currently coaching 4 people right now in my private practice who are struggling with addictions. And one of the main patterns that I see in almost across the board with most people who are addicted to something, and let's just use pills as an example, because that's the most common thing that we see when we talk about addictions. But so if the person is unwilling to yield up and give up and let go of and release those pills, send them to the garbage, send them out to the universe. If the person is still holding on, even if it's to a tiny, tiny little portion, then the body will say, I'm not letting go till you let go. And the other thing to think of too is there's biology that's involved here. So when we're consuming high amounts of toxicity, either putting toxins onto our bodies or into our bodies, the body is gonna not trust you. So the body's gonna be like, you know what, these fat cells are protecting you from self-poisoning yourself. It's protecting you from the toxicity that could potentially kill you if the extra fat cells were not covering up all these extra toxins that you just can't process in the moment. Yes, our bodies are made, they're hardwired to detoxify themselves and kick toxicity out. Yes, that's true. But when there's high levels of toxicity that's abnormal because maybe you're eating crap or you're addicted to pills or substances, then what happens is the body feels like, you know what, I can't trust you. I am not releasing this fat. I'm not going to release this weight and these fat cells until you stop self-poisoning. And so sometimes it's just about the relationship that you have with your body. Sometimes it's all about, hey Lori, thanks for being on here. Glad you guys are here. Sometimes it's about your relationship that you have with food. So you may want to look at, and I'm going to teach you how to do this, but you may want to look at what is food giving me that I'm not giving myself. Usually it's approval, appreciation, self-love. When a person is dealing with low levels of self-esteem and there's a lot of self-judgment and self-denial, self-disapproval, then you're probably going to reach for substances like food or addictions or maybe alcohol, things that really aren't necessarily that great for you, but for some reason you've attached yourself to that thing, that stuff, because there's a release of dopamine, there's an increase of serotonin levels, and it's making you feel good. So you're addicted to that good feeling that the thing, the product, the food, the pill, whatever it is giving you. It's giving you a good feeling. And you know, a lot of the drugs, the common drugs that we have, that we find people are so easily addicted to, are drugs that release high levels of serotonin and dopamine. And those are chemicals that cause you to feel good about yourself. And so you want that fix so badly because you're hungry for self-approval. You're hungry for love. And you're also, maybe you're trying to cover up high levels of pain. There's emotion inside your body that you don't want to have to feel. And so as a means of feeling better, falsely, and covering up the pain, then you're going to either eat or you're going to take that pill. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. So really, technically, at the most basic level, what lies at the root of why you're holding on to excess fat on your body is because there's a lot of self-judgment, self-disapproval, low self-esteem, low self-worth going on, and also your body doesn't trust you, and maybe you don't trust your body. Maybe there's a disconnect in the relationship that you have with your body. Maybe there's a disconnect in the relationship that you have with your higher self, like your most divine self. You're not connected to that. You don't know who you are. You feel really lost and empty inside, and so you're going to use food to fill that void. Also, maybe there's a disconnect between you and somebody else. So as a means of punishing them for what they did to you, you're going to make your body fat because they don't deserve to have you at your best, at your highest level. Does that make sense, guys? Give me thumbs up if you're really resonating with this stuff. So I want to share with you some examples if I can. I worked with a lady several years ago, a long time ago actually, who was a marathon runner. And she had run, at the point in time that she came to see me, I would have never known that she was in really good physical condition. Like I would have never known that because she carried a lot of excess weight and fat around her hips and her belly. But yet she had been running marathons for like 15 years. Every year she would either do a half marathon or a full. And as she ran every single day, she worked out every single day. And she told me she was trying to be careful with food, but it was just something that she could not get a handle on. And so as I began working with her in these sessions, one of the first things that I asked her was, are you afraid? Is there something that's causing you to be afraid of being thin? I mean, what would the worst thing be? What would the worst part be if you went right now, from where you're at right now, to being thin and beautiful? And she immediately had anxiety. She immediately started, taking in bigger breaths. And she was like, I know exactly what it is. It's taking me back to a memory. And the memory for her was when she was in high school. She was really close friends with some popular girls who were both skinny in her mind, right? In her mind, she saw them as skinny and beautiful. And these two girls that were skinny and beautiful, and again, that our definition of skinny and beautiful is everybody's is going to be different. But anyway, in her mind, she saw them as that. And what happened to these two girls that she was really close friends with was they kind of got themselves into trouble, and they also got themselves, they were overly concerned about their looks and their appearance and their vanity, to the point where it got them emotionally into trouble with relationships with other people. So they would attract themselves to boys that were abusive and just mean and jerks. And one of the girls got pregnant in high school, and the other girl got into a relationship that was really not very healthy at all. He was highly abusive, and she was the victim. Now, she was gorgeous, but not in a very healthy place. And so this friend of mine created this client of mine created this belief inside of her that it is not safe to be skinny and beautiful. And I need to make sure that I don't put myself in that situation. And so she, by default, the belief was, I'm going to hold on to this excess weight so that it will prevent me from being vulnerable. So she was trying to protect herself from like the perceived trouble that these girls had gotten themselves into. She didn't want to go there. She didn't feel safe being skinny, and so skinny was never going to be a reality for her because it wasn't safe to be. Okay? So what I want you guys to do now, if you want to grab a pen and a paper, please, by all means, go and do that. I'm going to have you guys do a little bit of journaling today with me so that we can identify what are you protecting yourself from? Why are you holding on to extra fat on your body? What is causing you to not feel safe? Let me share with you another example while you run and get a pen and paper. On the level of protection. So this is another pattern that I see in my private coaching practice all the time. And it is sadly, in my opinion, sadly so common, but it is so common. And the pattern is, a lot of times I see women who have been through sexual abuse, even rape. In extreme cases, they've been through some kind of a sexual trauma that caused them to feel unclean, unworthy, unsafe, all of those really, really low feelings and emotions, right? And as a result of that, those feelings and emotions never really got processed in a healthy way. And so the person is still carrying those things around with them, and they put on extra layers of fat and weight as a means of hiding behind it or trying to protect themselves from something. They're trying to protect their bodies. Even their own psyche, they're trying to protect their soul from being, I am not going to be vulnerable again. And so what happens to them is then they go throughout their lives and they find, oh, look, a weight loss program where all these people, all these testimonies, all these people have great results with the weight loss program. I'm going to jump into that strategy step process, right? I'm going to use brute force and self-control and willpower to will myself into releasing this weight. And some people actually might have some pretty good results with doing that, but the problem is if you don't ever resolve what lies at the core, those core beliefs, those core emotions and patterns. Even there, some of it is just mental scripts, like my friend who thought it wasn't safe to be skinny and pretty, right? Those are mental scripts. They're just mindless patterns that are playing over in a loop over and over. And if you don't resolve that stuff, you can exercise until you're purple, and it's still not going to be a permanent change for you. It's not going to be lasting. You might lose a few pounds. Your body might respond in the beginning, but it's probably going to come right back. Hey, Lori, sorry that you have to leave, but come back and watch the replay. Okay, so what happens to us when we go through these traumas and dramas in our life is that the very first thing that we do is we judge ourselves in it. So we think, oh my gosh, there must be something wrong with me, or this would have never had to happen. I must not be lovable. I must not be acceptable. Nobody wanted to really have a healthy relationship with me. So there must be something wrong with me, right? If you're the kind of person who has attracted unhealthy relationships into your life as a pattern that replays and reloops itself over and over, you think, well, I must not be lovable because clearly nobody that I've attracted into my world wanted to treat me the way that I deserve to be treated. And so sometimes we just have to kind of look over our lives and look at the dramas and the traumas and find out what's in there, for what's going on or what has gone on. You also may want to start looking at what point in time did you start putting on the excess weight, and what was going on in your life at that point in time. And then maybe you can journal about what was I thinking? What were the beliefs? What were the core beliefs? And getting down to the root of that. So again, your body's going to say to you, if the body doesn't trust you, if you've been feeding it a lot of toxic, harmful stuff and putting those things in, then perhaps the body doesn't trust you, and it's not going to release until you let go. In other cases, it can be spiritually, mental, and emotional stuff that you just haven't resolved and dealt with. So let's do a little exercise here. Also, I recommend that if you really want to understand some of the most common patterns that we see underneath excess weight or holding on to excess weight, if you really want to get to the core and start looking at some of the patterns that are there, I highly recommend that you scroll through and watch the previous video to this on getting to the core of why you hold on to extra weight. So there, in that video, that earlier video that I shared with you guys last week, we went deep into talking about spiritual, mental, and emotional reasons. Like, what are some of the trapped, hidden emotions that haven't been resolved in your body? I talked all about that. We went deep into it. Also, if you guys want it in tangible format, I actually put together a handout for you where I typed all of it up. If you go into the files section of this group, I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry. If you go to the file section of this group and just look at the last two files that I added, one of them is called The Roots of Fat, I believe, and the other one is called I think Fat Solutions. I think it's called Fat Solutions. So one of them is giving you the emotional, energetic roots components to that stuff, and the other one is giving you some ideas of what you can do from this point on as you're moving forward as a means of releasing and letting go of how you created this in the first place. Okay, so we're not really going to go deep into that, but I do want to take you through an exercise that might be really beneficial and meaningful for some of you guys, and that is this. I think that journaling is a really powerful way to start opening up awareness. Hey, Dan. Dan says, I've always been overweight. Pictures of me as a little girl show me overweight. Yeah, and I would be willing to bet that every time you look at those pictures, there's some kind of a physiological biological response that happens in your body, and that's the energy. That is the energy that we're looking for to transform and release. Okay? So that would be a really great starting point for you to kind of start journaling about what were the fears, what were the beliefs you held on to as a child, in what ways did you judge yourself as a child, what beliefs were programmed into you and projected onto you by your family. Maybe you eat too much, you're breaking all the rules of eating. In other words, you're eating too much junk food, too much sugar, that's not good for you. Whatever, what were the rules? What did you hear the most about food that you were doing wrong? Those are the places where I would go to start making amends and bringing that stuff back into a state of peace again in your body. So for right now, what I want you guys to do with your pens and papers is I want you to write down just a handful of foods that trigger you the most, that you just absolutely cannot control yourself with. Like, for me, it's salty foods like potato chips. Deanne says all of the above. Okay. Yeah, that doesn't feel good, does it? Okay, so for me, it's salty foods. So you can write down on the piece of paper what some of those foods are that you just absolutely can't control yourself around. You're going to write those down. The other thing that I highly recommend, this is a really great exercise that you can do to help out. And again, for those of you guys who are just now jumping on, if you missed the video that we did last week, I recommend you go watch that video first, because you kind of need the understanding of what lies at the root core, lies at the core level of emotionally, spiritually, and mentally of you putting on excess weight. What did you create? How did you create it? And why? Why did you do that? What's going on there? Because there's something that's underlying that, and you can use all the brute force and strategy, like 12 steps to weight loss. You can use all those strategies and brute force in the world, and it's still not going to give you the results that you're looking for, because you haven't really dealt with why you created it in the first place on the creation level. And so please go watch that video first, then come over here and watch the replay to this one, because it will really help to flow into what we're going to do next, which is a little exercise that I'm going to take you through. In this exercise, what I want you to do is you can just jot down, this is your homework assignment. So throughout a given day, I just want you to do it for one day. If you feel like you want to do it consistently, even longer, it's even more powerful. I've done this for months at a time before, and it really gave me good insight as to why am I reaching for that? What is the emotion behind all of that? What is the belief? And what is going on? Why am I just mindlessly doing this? Hand to mouth, hand to mouth. Okay? So the first thing that you can do is, in that moment, if you're willing, you may have to come back afterwards, because sometimes we're too mindless to be aware of what we're doing. So just come back after, when you're in the state of guilt. Okay? But if you can catch yourself in the moment and ask yourself, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Then get your technology out, take your phone and take a picture of what you're eating. And then, even more powerful, take a picture of yourself in that moment and just save it to a file on your camera or on your phone. Okay? Promise me that you'll do this. You can do it for a day, you can do it for a week, you can do it for a month. The longer that you do this exercise, the more powerful it's going to be for you. Okay? So that's your first step, is once you have identified that you've jumped into an automatic loop or a pattern, or like you've mindlessly done something and then now you're feeling guilt. If you can cut yourself off at the past before, great, fine, do it. If you can cut yourself in the middle of eating those potato chips or those chocolates or whatever it is that you're eating mindlessly, do it then. Take a picture of what you're eating, Take a picture of yourself. And then what I want you to do after you've done that is I want you to jot down just a handful of notes as to what is happening here. What's going on? Like, did you get in an argument? Did somebody hurt your feelings? Did somebody remind you of something from your past? Like, what happened? What is going on? What do I feel? So the first one is, what is going on? What do I feel? What's the emotion? And so there might be fear, there might be the need to protect, there might be just, I don't feel good about myself, I feel bored, I feel, and you probably aren't going to feel hunger because you don't even know what hunger is. You've been so conditioned to just putting food in your mouth without even noticing whether or not you're hungry or whether or not you're satisfied. Does that make sense, guys? Okay, so you're going to write down, and then also do this before meals. So before you have a meal, I want you to just jot down on a piece of paper, how do I feel in my body before I eat this? And then jot down on a piece of paper, an hour after you've eaten it, how do I feel now? Chances are if you overate and you ate to beyond the point of feeling satisfied comfortably, usually it only takes just a tiny amount of food to satisfy hunger. It really does. In fact, you can pretty much satisfy hunger in just a tiny little portion of food. And once you notice, oh, my hunger has been satisfied and I'm pretty content, most people don't have the awareness or the presence of mind to go, I could just wrap that food up and save it for tomorrow. No, we have to clean our plates because guess what? We've been taught by our parents, you better eat every amount of that food. Every bite on your plate needs to be cleaned off before you can get away from this table. Did you guys have that growing up? I'm willing to bet that you did. And so it gives you a lot of anxiety and fear to see a half-eaten meal. Gives you anxiety to see only a few bites taken off of a sandwich or a burrito or whatever it is. So get used to interrupting yourself and going, what do I feel? Even in the middle of eating, am I satisfied? Like, could I walk away right now and my body would actually not have hunger? Okay, so you can also start journaling about when you start recognizing how you feel around food, either before food, during food, and after food. Usually it's after the food that you feel the guilt and the shame. It's before the food that you're feeling things like self-disapproval. Someone has hurt your feelings, you bought into that, and now I don't feel good about myself. And so I'm going to stuff my face mindlessly, right? So you can write down things like, you could ask the questions, what do I want? What am I looking for? What do I feel in this moment? What is going on in the moment? So you could maybe just identify what is the actual literal situation that you're in, and what is that situation bringing up for you? What is it helping you to remember? Maybe even from your past. If a memory comes up when you're in the middle of eating that, you might want to just take a look at, well, what is the belief then? Is the belief that I'm not good enough, I can't do it right, I'm not safe, I need to protect myself, I'm never going to allow X, Y, and Z to happen, I'm not going to be vulnerable. So maybe just take a look at some of that stuff. So that's your homework, you guys. I am going to do a live broadcast inside of this group again tomorrow. I'll give you another homework assignment. But for right now, if you want to take this deeper, farther, if you really want to get momentum, if you really are dead serious on changing this pattern in your life once and for all, and saying to yourself, you know what, I deserve more. I deserve better. My family deserves better. My family deserves the better part of myself. Then I have some resources for you. And the first resource that I want to offer up is a website And you'll find it if you go to the files section and print off those two documents that I created for you guys on fat and fat solutions, the root of fat and the fat solutions. If you read those two documents, I think they're only about 3 pages, but all the way to the end, there is a website link. It will take you to my website, which is Janet Thurgood. So Janet, another T, THURGOOD.com. JanetThurgood.com / what is it? I think it's Be Free. Be Free. You'll have to go look at it. And I will also type the link of it into the description of this video and also down below so that you can just kind of click it and go there. When you go to that page, it will outline what we do in, I actually have a group of people that I take through this process. And what we do together is we do private coaching. It's in a group setting, but we do coaching together. And all through the month of March and April, we're going to be focusing on releasing fat. We've done anxiety release before. We have done illness release before. It's all the same. The process is the same for all of these problems. So here's what you're going to get when you go to that link. And through this course is going to be offered in a live setting. We're going to do it live. We're going to do it together. We're going to do it as a group all through the month of March and all through the month of April. So starting on March 1st, we will go live inside of that group, and I'm going to help you to do the following things. So the first thing that you're going to get as a member of that group is you're going to learn how to understand how to break these core beliefs down. How to get to the core of what the beliefs and the attitudes and the values and the feelings and emotions are that are causing you to hold on to this excess weight so you can release it. Then number 2, you're going to learn, I will teach you some tools for how to eat more intuitively. How to eat so that you build trust between you and your body again. So your body can trust you enough to say, okay, I'm ready to let this go. And the body will actually release massive amounts of weight at a time. You don't get to control how the body releases and when the body releases, but if you're willing to go inside and do that inner work, the body will release. It'll let go for you. And sometimes you'll step on the scale and go, holy cow, I just lost 10 pounds and I don't even know how that happened. So it's really, really a powerful process. If you're willing to engage, go inside, do your inner work. It really makes the process of melting away fat so much more logical because you're melting it away at the level at which you created it in the first place. And what you're doing really is you're letting go of the parts of yourself that created this problem in the first place. And you're becoming a person who no longer requires the need to hold on to excess fat because you don't have the need to protect anymore or beat yourself up. So you're going to learn how to eat intuitively so that you can build a relationship of trust with your body. Number 3, you're going to learn how to come to know how to love and respect yourself on a higher identity level. So on a higher, more authentic, true self level. So you're going to start to, I don't know how to word it without it sounding cheesy, but I always tell people everybody should know how awesome they are. Everybody should be able to learn how to connect with their own inner awesomeness because everyone has that inside. And one of the reasons why you're sick and you're fat or you're holding on to excess weight is because you've lost touch with who you really are and you're kind of beating yourself up with erroneous beliefs that aren't even true. So it's a matter of learning how to let go and release those beliefs that aren't true, that aren't serving you. So you're going to learn how to go back inside and reconnect with who you really are so that you don't need to protect anymore. There is no it's doing this kinds of inner work that allows your body to safely release the weight. So this friend of mine, this client of mine that said, skinny, pretty girls get into trouble and I don't want to go there, so therefore being skinny and pretty is not safe for me. It's not even true. It's not even a true belief. It's just something that she kind of conjured up because of how she interpreted her experience in high school, right? How she was interpreting what she was experiencing. And so when we learn how to change the paradigm, which I'll be teaching you how to do that, how to change your own paradigm and how to change things on the level of your own identity as opposed to changing things on the level of strategy, which is struggle, which is step 1, step 2, step 3. Do these things, you're going to lose weight. Do these things, you're going to have a healthy body, is really difficult to make transformation and change on the strategy level. It's so much faster, it's more efficient, and it's almost immediate when you learn how to make changes on the identity level. So, who have you been? Who do you choose to be? And what is possible for you to become now? What is it possible for you to become now? And who do you get to be now that you're not carrying around all of these ridiculous, nonsensical beliefs? So that's what we're going to be doing. Number 4, you're going to find out how to access your own inner power again. And I call it standing in your own sovereignty. So learning how to stand up for yourself, learning how to speak your truth, learning how to be a voice for what you really do desire instead of feeling like the victim in your life, instead of lacking that self-esteem and self-approval. We're going to go inside and help you learn how to change that stuff up so you can stand in your own sovereignty, be a voice for your own truth, and let that stuff flow through you freely. There aren't words, you guys, to describe how good this feels to really get to the root of this and clean it up. You're going to boost your self-esteem so that you can release the weight. You are going to learn how to release the fears that you're holding on to. What are you afraid of? So in some, how I talked about how when you see a plate that has a sandwich that's only half eaten or just a few bites taken out of the meal and the food is still on the plate, does that give you anxiety? Do you feel afraid that somehow you're going to get in trouble because there's starving children in Africa that don't have any food to eat and now you feel guilt and remorse because you didn't finish all your food, right? So definitely some things to look at. We're going to get to the root of a lot of those fears that you create or that you've been taught to hold on to so that you can finally release the weight. And then the last few things you're going to learn as you click on to this website that I just gave you, you're going to learn how to change this stuff instantly on an identity level instead of a strategy level so that you can quickly release the weight. You're going to learn how to stand in front of a mirror and look at yourself either fully clothed or without clothes. You're going to learn how to stand in front of the mirror and look at your inner self and use that as a power source to help you to create the new self, who you get to become. And, these changes can come fairly quickly if you're willing to engage and go inside and do your inner work and look upon the inner self instead of the exterior and feel guilt and regret and remorse and self-disapproval. Okay? We're also going to be talking quite a bit inside of this group coming up in March and April. I will be teaching you tools for how to eat intuitively, how to raise your awareness of what you're eating and why you're eating that so that you can release the weight. You're going to be learning tools for how to claim your own authority over your body. Like, this is my body. It's like your own home. You would never allow somebody else to come into your body and boss your family around and eat all your food, right? You wouldn't allow that because that's ridiculous. And you'd kick that being or that person out of your body. I'm going to teach you how to kick out the spirit of fear and also unwanted energies and entities from your body. How to disconnect from the unhealthy energies that are being put upon you by the people closest to you. Because sometimes that can play into it too. So like sometimes you're tethered to other people who are really negative and really judgmental, and that's sort of some of the things that's playing into why you have all this self-loathing and self-disapproval going on. So I'm going to teach you how to release that and let it go and disconnect from those unhealthy tetherings to other people on the lines of negativity. You're going to learn how to develop a different relationship with food. And you know, the interesting thing about this, I'm not going to give you guys a diet. I'm not going to take anything away from your diets. If anything, I'm going to add stuff. I'm going to encourage you and invite you to add some things to your diet. But I am not going to remove anything from your diet. We're going to pull out all the stops, remove all of the rules. For example, if you only want to eat 4 or 5 bites off your plate and then wrap the rest up and put it away, go for it. There's no rules about that. You don't have to clean your plate. If you want to eat dessert first and have 2 or 3 bites of that just because you wanted the feeling, the sensation, right? And you're trying to get the body full. And if you know that your body's going to be satisfied with 3 or 4 bites, go ahead and have dessert first. And then eat your vegetables last, but eat only to the point where you're satisfied. So I'm going to teach you how to have a different relationship with food. I'm going to teach you how to deconstruct the rules that you kind of came up with, that you created over time about food. We're going to learn about pattern loops and how to interrupt or intersect these pattern loops from these erroneous beliefs and values and emotions that you stored in your body over time. And then we're also going to be looking for, I'm going to teach you guys also, just a minute, I'll get to your question in just a second, how to release the blocks, like the emotional blockages to why you're having a hard time releasing excess weight in the first place. So Deanne says, sorry, I'm not quite understanding. Is the March-April group on this same Facebook page or through, good question, thank you for asking. The March-April group is going to be held inside of a private, secure, secret Facebook group that is a paid group, and you can access that on the janetthurgood.com/BE free. I think it's BE FREE site. Does that make sense? I will post the link, the actual link, so that you don't, because I don't think that's the actual link that's in your comment there, Deanne. So I will post it in the comments section down below after this video has published, and you should be able to access it. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions before I let you go? What I recommend that you do is do your homework. If you guys missed what the homework was for today on the first steps to helping you to release fat from the body, go back and watch the replay of this video. It's in the middle section of the video. Also, don't forget, a lot of the stuff that we covered in last week's video is in the handouts. So please go to the files section in this group, just hit the files tab and print out the top 2 files there. One is on the roots of fat, I believe, and the other one is called Fat Solutions. And so if you print those off, you're going to get a pretty hefty outline as to what we covered over the last couple of weeks as far as releasing weight. If you want to take this deeper, go farther, create momentum, and really get to the nitty-gritty of it in a very, very powerful way. And I guarantee you, I know people who have lost almost 100 pounds from their bodies without diet, without changing their diet, and without exercise. And so it is possible to be done. We just have to teach you how to get to the root of this spiritual, mental, and emotional stuff, the hows and the why you created your problem with fat or illness or whatever in the first place. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. If you want, if you have any more questions, you can drop them into the chat box below. You can also private message me if you have further questions. I hope that I was clear about how this all works. Go print off your 2 files. That'll give you a really good head start for wrapping your mind around what we're going to be doing all through the month of March and through the month of April, so that you can finally, for good, release the weight permanently. This is, it's a permanent fix. We're not just kind of superficially taking weight off your body. We're getting to the root causes of why you put it there in the first place and why your body is holding on to it, and basically saying, I'm not letting go till you let go. So, again, I'm really excited to get to present this information to you guys. It's really powerful. It's changed so many people's lives, and I know that it can change your life as well. So, see you guys over there on the other side. Click the link, get yourself registered. You have up until March 1st to get that done. So go get it done. Talk to you soon. Bye.